Despite all of the horrible things that happened in 2020, thanks to you, my viewers, it will be a year that I look back on with positivity. So to let you know me better, I let my patrons ask me anything, and here's my answers. My freaking god. It's been an insane year. I mean, in many ways, I don't think we need to go into that, but for me, this year have been a blessing in so many ways. A year ago from this date, I had this dream of becoming a full-time painter and doing YouTube videos and everything around that. 12 months later, we've had over 150,000, like 150,000 new subscribers to the channel. I think we're at almost like 10 million views this year. That's the whole country of Sweden watching my videos at least once. I mean, we did the Kickstarter thanks to all of those like 8,300 something people who purchased either a bust or brushes or whatever. That's insane. Thank you so much. This video is sort of a thank you to all of you who's been around hanging out with me, because it's been, despite everything that's been going on, like my dream year. Been able to do what I love doing, which is doing videos. I love painting miniatures. I love talking about Warhammer, and I've been able to do that as a full-time job. And a lot of it is thanks to all of my patrons. There's been something like 600 people throughout the year that's been on and off pledging a few dollars throughout the year. This video is pretty much solely dedicated to them. They had a chance to ask pretty much any question they had, and I will try to answer it to the best of my ability. I'm gonna put timestamps in the video description, so I put them in different categories. So if there's a certain category about my private life, about my YouTube channel, about my products or whatever, you can find the timestamps down below. But with that said, let's just jump into doing this, because my god, there is like 100 questions. Hopefully it's gonna be fun. So grab a hot cocoa, a coffee, a beer or whatever, chill with me for an hour or whatever it's gonna take. Do you ever get painting fatigue? If so, how do you deal with it? I mostly get painting fatigue when I paint stuff that I am not excited about. So if there is something that I am excited about, I barely ever get painting fatigue. So I try to combine like doing sponsor videos with doing personal projects and things like that. And sometimes having a certain deadline definitely helps, because you feel so accomplished when you've finished something. Similar question, how do you stay motivated to push yourself when it's hard to be impressed by yourself or happy with what you painted when online platforms showcases so many better painters? Well, I try to stay out of Instagram and stuff like that for the most part, because it's such an energy sink and a time sink. It's incredible for inspiration, and I follow a lot of painters that I adore so much, but I try to do it when I'm in need of inspiration instead of just like scrolling every day and feeling disappointed about my life. Also, I have like different levels, so I don't always paint to my like highest standard, because it doesn't make sense to always do that. Sometimes I paint for armies or I paint for fun, and when I do that, I don't have to be the best painter in the world. So how do you keep going, painting and making great content every week? I'm struggling with keeping my motivation going to paint, even though I love it. Same thing there. I think you have to set like time limits for yourself. It's hard now during COVID, but if you have a tournament, you have to finish an army until a certain point, and you finish it to whatever standard you can to that day. That's a good way to motivate me. And again, paint the things that you're excited about painting. Like, give yourself opportunities to force yourself to sit down and to force yourself to finish things. And when you do, you're gonna see that you're more inspired. What model that you have painted was totally out of your comfort zone when you painted? I'm not only talking about the model subject, but also the complexity of the model. This is gonna come as a surprise, but I did like board game miniatures for like a spaceship Kickstarter, and the miniatures were such a small scale. It's like 1mm scale, if even. And the spaceships were these like cel-shaded style. So that was really difficult for me because I had never done that. So that was really pushing myself to do something that I was uncomfortable with. Do you ever get scared to paint certain models? I have a bit of a collection, but I found my taste changing day to day, so I can never stick to a certain color scheme. Do you ever get scared? I don't think I get scared. Sometimes I feel like I might not be able to replicate like what another painter did, but I can always do my best on a miniature. And sometimes I don't even do my best. It's just paint and plastic, you can always remove it if you're not happy about the end result. How do you not get overwhelmed by your pile of shame / opportunity of shame? Yes. In the beginning, I always sold off stuff that I had purchased if I didn't touch them for 6 months or a year, which was a very good way for me to stay sort of fresh in mind and not like feel drained by this backlog. And right now I have a lot more stuff, but a lot of that I feel like is more of a collection to me. So I have a lot of Tomb Kings, for example, and I have a dream of sometime maybe doing the Tomb Kings. And same thing with the Wood Elves that I had as a kid. I really want to paint them up, but for me they're more of a collection item. So those I don't count. My pile of shame, I just like stopped stressing about it, and I'm really happy that I'm not. But I used to get overwhelmed, but now I don't. How do you balance your hobby versus being a dad? I have a newborn and I'm struggling to handle it all. Yeah, life's really tough sometimes when it comes to time and family and priorities like that. I have 3 kids, as most of you already know. And when I got started with the hobby, what I did was every time when I put the kids to bed, I would bring out the stuff by the living room table. So I would sit next to my wife watching TV, but I would be painting. So I would get like 1 to 4 hours every day to paint. And then of course breaks to run up and check on the kids when they were screaming for water or whatever. And after that, I started doing the hobby daytime. And I'm spending a lot of time on it, so I know that my wife sometimes gets tired of me, but I think the most important thing for me, or the takeaway, is like when they are awake, I want to give them a lot of attention, even if it's just for like 2-3 hours after work before they go to bed. Like I give them what I have, and then I get the me time, you know? So that's my recommendation. Other hobbies. Right now I don't really have a lot of other hobbies. Hockey. I used to play like beer league hockey. That was a big hobby of mine. Photography used to be a big hobby, but I kind of ruined that. Or the industry ruined that for me, I would say. I still enjoy like photos and the art side of it, but I didn't enjoy like the business side of it. I like playing video games. That's a hobby. Currently playing Pokemon Sword. That's fun. And Diablo, I'm really excited about Diablo. So, no kids on YouTube, but tell us how you met your wife, please. So me and my almost wife, we're just engaged. We've been engaged for like 11 years. We met back in, it's gonna be like 15 years ago now. So I had just finished school. So I was almost 19, she was 18, had 1 year left. And I had been touring with my band that I played in back then. And we were playing on a show, and that's when she saw me. And then like a week later, I just popped up in her social media feed, and she just said like, hey, I watched your show, you were good, even though she hated metal. And that's how we started talking. And like a few weeks later, we met up, and yeah, long story short, I'm here now. What's my key to happiness? Oh, that's a tough one, because happiness, it comes and goes. And, you know, right now my youngest kid is happy all the time. And every time like I come up from the basement and she's at home, she screams, "Papa!" So that just gives me happiness for the day. I really enjoy the people in this hobby and this community, because like the general population of the hobby is so positive. So that gives me a lot of energy. Also like doing stuff that I like being creative, watching TV that's inspiring, you know, stuff like that. Pretty much. What's my biggest win and biggest regret? I don't have a lot of regrets. I would say biggest win was just daring to actually make my first YouTube video, at least like in the last few years. But if I go back, my biggest win was like daring being in a band, daring forming my own company, daring accepting jobs from clients when I started my company first, reaching out to people to get help and things like that. So that's my biggest wins. Also, of course, my kids are my biggest wins. My biggest regrets would probably be when I was a kid, I was working at a burger restaurant, and I had like mentally abusing bosses, and I wish I would have tried getting away from there earlier, because it really messed up my stress levels for many years. So that's kind of my biggest regrets. But I also learned a lot on work ethics, and I had fun with the people I worked with there. So it wasn't all negative, but I wish I would have quit like 6 months sooner or something like that. Do you ever paint build after smoking some weed? I don't smoke weed, I've never tried it. But that's a good question. Political direction. I don't know if we want to go there, but for me the biggest thing is to try to peace and love. Cats or dogs? Cats definitely, and we're getting a new one that's used to kids in a few weeks, and I'm so excited about the cat. Kitty cat. What would it take for you to grow a beard or just not shave for a few months? I don't like the feeling of beard in my face. I think beards look amazing. I wish I would just grow one of these like epic beards, but it scratches, it itches. Even if I've gone for like a month and a half without shaving, I just don't like the feeling of it, so I always end up shaving. Living in a vegan city, barbecue or salad? You know what? I really like a good well-cooked meat, but in like small quantities. But I'm also the kind of dude that for my body and for the environment, I wish I ate more vegetarian food, but I'm still eating a lot of meat. Swedish winter or Swedish summer? Oh, I like the Swedish spring. That's like the best time, because it's sunny, it's warm, but it's not like 30 degrees outside. It's like 20, 22. That's perfect to me. Anything above like 24 degrees, that's too hot. Do I have a degree in photography? No, I don't. I was self-taught. I do have a degree in like art direction from Betty's University or whatever it's called, but I've never done like art school or anything like that. I'm self-taught, pretty much. You know what I mean? I know you probably don't have any time, but do you play any video games? If so, what's your favorite or current game you play? My favorite game of all time is Pokemon and Diablo, and those are pretty much the only times I give myself time to play, is when a new game like that come out. So I've been playing a bit of Diablo 3 the last few months, and of course I got myself Pokemon Sword now. So Horde or Alliance? Now that's a personal question, because I've never played World of Warcraft. I did play Warcraft 1 back in the days, maybe a bit of Warcraft 2. How many stupid questions can you answer without losing your sanity? Also, what's your favorite meal? Oh, my favorite meal would probably be like a really good burger, a juicy burger, or a really nice sort of Napolitan pizza style pizza. Swedish course Palette is amazing. Anything Indian food, anything Korean food, anything Thai, anything Japanese. I think my taste buds are pretty much Asian with a touch of burger and pizza. You mentioned that there might be an airbrush coming with your specs. Any idea on the time frame? Also asks about COVID, delay, etc, etc. We had another question from a different patron. Was there something about a squiddy airbrush? Yes, there is something about the squiddy airbrush. I've teased it in streams, I've teased it in videos. And the design is done. It's really, it looks amazing. It's like I've gotten to make my dream airbrush. It's harder than STEENBECK who makes this one, and it just looks amazing. Balls, delays, COVID, them being busy. I guess once they're done, they're gonna put it out on their store, and it's gonna be like a limited edition thing, I think. But it's amazing, so I can't wait for them to finally release it sometime. For your Kickstarter, what was the brush bust set that has traveled the furthest? I think from Sweden, Australia, and New Zealand is pretty much like the opposite side of the globe, so I guess that would technically be the furthest. Will those brushes ever be available to people that didn't back the Kickstarter? Yes, they are. You can pre-order them on squidmar.com/latepledge. I also have, like, in every video I have a link so you can check it out. But once we've shipped everything out to the backers, that's when we'll start selling it and shipping out like the late pledges and things like that. When will Squidmar's Squid Inks be available? The answer is yes. If you could design a line of gaming miniatures, 28 and 32mm for Warhammer or any other game of your choice, what would that be? Oh, I would probably make like a more exciting orc races and goblins, because I feel like there's so much to explore there and it kind of haven't been really done in like 15-20 years. I feel like the 40k orcs are kind of like, they don't really fit in my eyes in the grimdark sort of theme that they are right now. I more appreciate the 90s style that had more humor. If you were ever to make your own game that uses miniatures, what would be the setting and why? Well, I'm a sucker for fantasy, so it would probably be something in the fantasy style. Exactly what setting, and maybe I have to sit on that one, so when I want to do it, the idea haven't been taken. Favorite video you released in 2020? Oh, that's a good one. I think the most fun I had was when I was dressed up in knight's armor and painted a knight dressed as a knight. That was amazing. I had a lot, like recording the videos as well with like Guy, Trent, Scott, where we did these like Skype calls and did gaming sessions or whatever we should call it. That was really fun. I really liked like out of the last videos I did, the spider one, when I did my spider goblin. Any sequel to the space orc video? Yes, there will be. At least a few months in the future right now, because I've got some commitments with like the masterclass videos for the busts that we did. So this one, I've painted it up and made like a fancy schmancy tutorial for it. It's gonna be my longest video to date, which is amazing. But there's a couple of other videos coming in January and February, so it's gonna be a bit delayed, but I'm really looking forward to painting more on my own stuff. Would you rather use only dry brushing or only washes on a miniature? I think definitely only washes, because I could thin it down and use it as glazes. Plan on going on any podcast interviews. Great hearing you on Murder Basement. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy that. Yes, I have plans. Like, I've generally said no to podcast requests because of time, because I have a lot of stuff that I do and it takes a lot of time. So, but I've promised Dave from Mini Wargaming, and then there is this other podcast that haven't been announced yet, but hopefully late January maybe. I hope to be doing more next year. It's about time management and the product release and making videos still for patrons and everyone. It does take a lot of time, so it's one of these things that I've been wanting to do but just haven't really had time. Same thing with streaming. I would love to stream more, but that will have to come. How many tattoos do you have? I pretty much I have one, but it's like split up in a couple of ones. This is the first one I did. It's the logo of the band I played in, and then I have Ho'u and Karasu Tengu tattoo, which leads me into next question. Who did them? All but the band logo is done by a guy called Anders, who has a parlor. It's called Port Royal Tattoo, and it's in my hometown-ish. He's amazing at doing like these classical and Japanese tattoos. Do they have a meaning to them, or is they simply collections of art? I would say the Japanese inspired tattoos are more like art from a good artist. The band logos, like, it speaks for itself. Am I looking to get more tattoos at some point, and if so, what and where? Yes, I would love to do that. I would love to have my chest, I would love to have my arms. That's like the two main one. Sebastian, who you've seen visiting the channel, I would love to have him do like a full sleeve with like pop culture references. I'm a big X-Men fan. I would love to do some Warhammer stuff. Just maybe some Pokemon, I don't know. Stuff from my childhood that I just love. Just to do like a memory wall. Do I have any Games Workshop or miniature related tattoo? Not yet. It's so hard to, when you have 3 kids, to be like, I'm gonna take these $5,000 to spend on my arm. I don't know about you, but it's hard to prioritize that. Bike for a kid or a tattoo? I don't know. Questions about my band. What was the name of your metal band and how long were you guys active? The band name was Sonaria, and we were active from I think 2001 or 2 to like 2012 maybe. I think I was in the band for 10 years, from when I was 15 to 25. And they are still around, like the band exists, but they haven't released anything since I left. I was kind of working as the band manager, as well as musician and like art director. So I think they've had a bit of a hard time kind of keeping the production together since me and the drummer left, because he was a big part of my work too. How did I go from that to paint? I was always artistic. I used to do like t-shirts for bands. I used to do websites for bands, album covers. Yeah, I used to paint Warhammer when I was a kid too, of course. So like doing that, and then I started my photography and filmmaking business, and then I went into painting, and then I started the YouTube channel. So it's been like always in sort of the art sphere. When am I going to grow out your hair and start shredding guitar again? Probably never. I got so burnt out by music industry. I don't know, if you've been in the music industry, you know what I mean, because it's like everyone plays in a band and everyone thinks they can do it better than you do. Every club show booker just wants your money, and every record label just wants your money. And in the end, you work your ass off and you get almost nothing in return. Like, it was amazing coming out touring and playing shows, but you work for like 8 to 10 hours a day for 10 years and you do like 200 shows out of 5,000 days. I don't know. It's weird. I don't miss it. What's your best and worst memory with a band? Best memory was probably touring with my best friends. Like, they were really my best friends at the time. We don't hang out anymore, unfortunately, because life and kids and things like that. But I had so much fun with them. Like being away for 30, 40 days, just hanging with your friends, playing shows in different countries of the world. It's really hard to beat like that feeling, but I'm not missing the rest of the stuff, and the rest of the stuff is the majority part of being in a band. My worst memory was probably when we were going to play on a festival called Metal Camp, and my favorite band, like when I was a kid, was Blind Guardian, and they were headlining and we were opening on that stage that day. And the car that we were going to rent, they just refused to give us the car, so we couldn't travel down, and it was with like 3 days like warning. And there was no one who had a car available in our city, and no camper, no van, nothing like that. So unfortunately we had to cancel. That was probably one of my worst memories. Can I play you something on the guitar quickly? Yes. There you go. When are you starting a mini painting metal band with the others? we talk about this from time to time, because like everyone who has a YouTube channel has played in a band. I think Miniac might be the exception, but I'm pretty sure he could rock something out or sing. You have Luke playing a bass, you have Midwinter Minis being a guitarist, you have me being a guitarist, Eric's Hobby Workshop, Black Magic Craft. It's like almost everyone plays an instrument or played in a band. So it would be fun, but I doubt it will ever happen because all of us are so busy making videos. Favorite metal band? Well, as a kid it was Blind Guardian. I was super into Hammerfall, Rhapsody, Iron Maiden, Hypocrisy, Flames, Arch Enemy. I don't know, there was many of them. I don't listen to much metal anymore. I think the hardest things that I go to is like Foo Fighters and Red Hot Chili Peppers, but yeah. What am I looking forward to from Games Workshop in 2021? That's a good question. Underworld's Warbands, Vampirates. I think that's Warhammer Weekly that spawned that name, but I'm really looking forward to that. That's probably gonna come in 2-3 months. The Spider Goblin Underworld's Warband, new Age of Sigmar rules, maybe, I don't know. Unfortunately, the Goblin revamp was quite terrible. Hopefully Sylvaneth gets a new book that's actually playable, because the last one was also terrible. So like every army I play is horrible, but c'est la vie. Warhammer Fantasy Battles or Age of Sigmar. I do not miss the rank and flank system. In all honesty, I think Age of Sigmar is like 100 times more exciting for me and the way that I want to play, so I'm happy about that. Which non-Games Workshop games do you enjoy or would you like to try? Ooh. Frostgrave? Gloomhaven, definitely. I've got a group that's invited me, but I've never had time to go, but that would be fun. Dungeons and Dragons? I've never played a game of Dungeons and Dragons. That would be amazing. Lord of the Rings, role-playing games in general, things like that. I'm really a fancy nerd, so that stuff. Makes me excited. What are your top 2 armies in Sigmar? My 2 favorite aesthetics is like Wood Elves, obviously, but they don't exist anymore. Tomb Kings. But out of the ones that exist, I think Iron Jaws are probably my number 1, together with Spider Goblins, and then Trolls. So it's like Gloomspite Gits and Iron Jaws destruction stuff. For 40k, maybe there's so many good stuff, but I think like Adeptus Mechanicus have some really cool stuff, like the flying ships and things like that. Maybe Dark Eldar? Am I gonna get killed now? I don't know. I'm not even gonna mention the retro space orcs, because you know that I love them, but they're not a thing anymore. What's my favorite model from each? Oh my god. I don't know. Which Space Marine chapter? Imperial Fist, maybe? Ultramarines, I think they're really cool. Questions about food. Do I say Kex or Chex? Well, I'm not a demonic abomination, so I'm saying Kex. Have no taste or be colorblind. I think I would probably be colorblind because I could still paint with values. Give up social media or eat the same dinner for the rest of my life? I don't know, if it's a good food, if it's like Morg Hindustani Indian food, I would probably eat the same food for the rest of my life. I don't know, I'm not a big fan of social media in general. Like Instagram and Twitter, Facebook, it's more of like a habit than actually enjoyment. I like making YouTube videos, I like watching YouTube videos, but not like the social part of it. But that's mostly because I like the creators and I like creating. But like the other social media, I could probably be without, I think. Where is some place you've always wanted to travel? Italy was one of my favorite places to be. I really like going there. I'd like to go again to Rome. Just like the history of Rome is so amazing. Greece is amazing. But like my dream places that I've never been, I would definitely say Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. And I would love to go to like the rainforests somewhere. I don't know where, but wherever they'll have me, I guess. What's my favorite food? Indian food, pizza, Asian food, all Asian countries' foods and burgers. What's your favorite non-Swedish sweets / chocolate? I would say like the Kinder chocolates are nice. I feel like every country has something good, but like the Swedish sweets and candies, they're up there, like shit tier. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no? Definitely yes. Do I have a good hot chocolate recipe? I use cocoa, I use oat milk because I don't like regular milk so much, and sugar. Pretty much, that's it. So I think that's all the patrons' questions. I hope it didn't take like more than half an hour, 40 minutes. If it did, I'm sorry, but I hope you had a good time anyway, hanging out with me. I guess that's things we need nowadays, just like hanging out, listening to other people talk. I listen to podcasts all the time. But again, like, thanks so fucking much for 2020. Like, you made my year what it is, and I am so thankful for that. I'm so thankful that I get to have this YouTube channel. I'm so thankful for all the patrons I have. I'm so thankful for everyone who just watches videos, and that's crazy enough for me. I take nothing of it for granted. I'm just really thankful that I have it. I don't know what else to say. Just stay safe until we meet again. Hopefully a video next week. I hope to get the masterclass video done so you can paint along with me with this bust. If you haven't received it, you know, it's just a few weeks away until we shipped everything. So I'm just babbling. I'm gonna quit now. Have a great day. Bye bye.